Welcome. In this session, we will implement the functionality behind our tic-tac-toe game. As far we have our user interface ready, as you can see, we have buttons ready here and they are clickable. Now let's move ahead and implement the functionality. We have a function here named button pressed that is called on every button press, and it takes one argument, that is the number of argument which is pressed in the matrix. So let's see. First of all, the thing which we will do is we will make the player. It will be a global variable and I will set its value to 1. So we have two players, the first player and the second player. Initially I'm setting the value of player to 1, which means that it's time for player 1 to play. So now in the body of this function I will remove this temporary line here, and first of all the first thing I will do here is I will tell it that there is a variable which is global and its name is player. So I have to tell this function that this is a global variable player. Next, what I will do here is I will check for the condition. There are two conditions which I have to test. The first is which button is pressed, and the second is which player it is. So let's see. If, as you can see, I'm getting the button number in argument, so I will say if button number is double equals to 1, which means that it is the first button in the grid, this one here. So I'm saying if it is 1 and player is double equals to 1. So what I will do here, now the button is 1 and the player is 1. So as you can see, when the button 1 will be pressed, I will be getting 1 in the argument, so I can test it here in the condition, that button number. So if button is 1 and player is 1, I will change the text of the button to X, which means we have dedicated X to player 1 and O to player 2. So I will say here, change the text of the button 1, button1.config. I will change the text here. Text is equals to X. So simply, if it is button 1 and player 1, change the text to X. And one more thing which we need to do in here is we have to change the player now. Player will be equal to 2 now. So simply, if it is button 1 and player 1, change the text to X, and now change the player to 2, because next time we get into this function, now player will be the second player. So as player is global, so it will maintain the value of player as we have changed it to 2. So next time when it comes in this button press function, the value of the player will be 2. So now if this is not the case, if it is button number 1 but it is not player 1, so what we will do here, I will say else if button number is double equals to 1 and player is double equals to 2. So yes, this can be the case. Button number can be 1 and player can be 2. So what I will do, similarly I will change the text of the button to O. So here like this. So that's what we need to do here, and I will change the player to 1. So it's simple that if it is player 1, I'm changing it to 2, and if it is player 2, I'm changing it to 1. So every time I have to do this. So this was for the button 1. If it was button 1, as we know we have 9 buttons in our grid, so we have to repeat this thing for all of the buttons. So what I will do, I will copy this here and I will paste it again here. As you can see, now I can change it for button 2, like if it is button number 2 and player 1, I will change the text of button 2. Similarly here in else spot as well. Now it's button 2. All the other things remain same because we have to check for the player 1 and player 2 every time. But this thing here will change. This will be else if. Why I'm doing it else if this condition, if it goes into the body of this condition, we need not to go into any other part of this. We need not to go into this, we need not to go into this and all of the other things which we have here because this was true. So if this condition, it goes into this condition, we need not to move any further into any other condition because when one button is clicked, only one functionality will be performed. Whether it will be changed to X or it will be changed to O for that particular button. So we need not to move into any other condition. So now I will repeat this for other buttons, like this is for button 1, this one is for button 2. So I will copy this and I will paste it for button 3. Similar changes we have to do here, like 3, it's button 3. I will do it for button 4 as well here. So just changing it to 4. Now for button 5, it's button 5 here. For button 6, all the buttons need to be covered here in this function. So 6, now 7, it's 8, button number 8, as you can see we are only changing the button and the button number in the condition. And finally the last button, which will be the button number 9. So all buttons by doing this are done now. So we have this condition for all buttons now. So when it get into this button pressed function, depending upon the button number, it will change the text of corresponding button. So these conditions will do the thing. So I will just run it and we will see the output here. So let's click one button. As you can see, now it was player 1 initially because first time the click will be of player 1, so it changed it to X. Now when I click on any other button, this is player 2, so as you can see it changed it to O. First of all it changed the first button to X, then O. Now it's turn of player 1 again, so let's click another button. As you can see, alternatively it is changing the text. So first was X, then was O, and again X. Now it should be O. As you can see, I clicked it and it changed it to O. Again X, again O. So it's working fine. Our conditions are working fine. Now the last thing which is there we have to do is, as you can see, we are not checking for the winner of the game. Now as you can see, we cannot tell the winner. There was a winner on this diagonal O because we have O on the first button, and here again O on this button, and on this button O as well. So diagonal O was winner, but it didn't stated that, so we have to implement some functionality for this. In the next session we will implement the functionality for the winner of the game.